Welcome back, Geek Variants. Superman Legacy and the casting we have so far. So, yep, we're going to talk about it. So here we are talking about the new DCU with James Gunn, and one of the first movies slated in the list is going to be Superman Legacy, as far as Chapter One, Gods and Monsters, and this comes out in 2025.
Yep.
We have got some casting that we've been speculating on, some stuff that we were curious about. So here we have our resident, DC guru with Tony, who's going to talk about what he thinks about the casting and where this can possibly go. So if you haven't already, make sure that you go ahead and hit that lovely red subscribe button. Make sure you're tuned in, following all the stuff, and we'll try and keep update on all the news as much as possible. So without further ado, Tony, the casting for Superman Legacy and what we have so far. Talk about it.
Let me just say this. I'm mad that Henry Cavill left, but the guy they replaced him with looks like a young Henry Cavill. He looks exactly like him. And let's not forget, Henry did have to buff up to become Superman. And David, being the Cub reporter, and we all know Cub reporters are usually their first 4 or 5 years in. I mean, it fits. I don't know him as an actor personally. I haven't seen too many his movies, but I have researched him. And it's not movies that I would watch because I'm more of a horror guy. But he looked like he can act. So I'm fine with that. And then we have Rachel as Lois Lane. Okay. I would have if we would have did an earlier Superman like they're doing, I'd have rather have Lana Lang, since we're going to do the early stages of his life, because she was still around even though when he was in Metropolis. So I would have rather have her. So I'm good with Lois since everybody already knows Superman and Lois. That's their thing. Hawkgirl, know nothing about this actress at all, but what I do see is that they're going younger with her too, because she is young. And I looked at her movies, a lot of kid movies that she's been doing. So we're gonna see what her acting chops are, because Hawkgirl is a very dynamic character. She's very, very layered. So I'm gonna see. I'm gonna skip Nathan because I like Nathan and I'm gonna talk about him a lot. Eddie, I love this. This is probably my favorite casting. I can see him as Mr. Terrific. I can see him being the intelligent, egotistical character that we know Mr. Terrific can be, because he is actually, if not the smartest guy in DC. It's been argued on who is the actual smartest guy in the DC universe, and Mr. Terrific is always in the conversation, especially since he got done so bad as Darwin. I think he needs some get back in the superhero community, because Darwin shouldn't have died. I don't care. That's why I hate the X-Men movies.
He needs some redemption.
He needs some redemption. Now let's get back to Nathan Fillion. Bring back Firefly. I see him as Guygardner. If you've seen him act, let's forget about him being in Suicide Squad, because that was a throwaway character. We already know that. For those who don't know, Guygardner is an asshole. That's it. There's no other way to describe Guygardner. He should have never been given a power ring, but he got one. And he does what any asshole does when you give him power. He becomes a bigger asshole. I can't wait to see the dynamic between Guygardner and Clark Kent / Kal-El. I want to see that, because one of the greatest moments in comic book history was when Batman one-punched Guygardner. Is Batman going to show up and one-punch him in the movie? I mean, that would be a great cameo. Just at the end of the movie, walk in and one-punch him and put him to sleep. But for the casting, I'm not mad at it. I've seen a lot of people like, oh, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. Let me just say, Michael Keaton. Let me just say, Heath Ledger. There was a lot of backlash on those two. And what happened? It turned into some great performances as superheroes. So I see it. We also got one more to talk about that was breaking news today. It was one of my favorite actors, Anthonycarrigan, Most of you know him as Mr. Zaz on the TV show Gotham. Great actor. He is now being cast as Metamorpho. Metamorpho is probably going to be the wild card because he can do just about anything with his body. Think of a lower grade Martian Manhunter without telepathy and super strength, but he's still a solid character. So far, the casting I'm not too upset about. Like I said, 3 of them I don't know, but I'm willing to give them a chance.
Well, it's kind of a restructuring of the DCU and how they want to kind of move things forward. So with doing this, casting, younger actors and stuff, they can kind of ensure the longevity of the series. Movies that they're going to do, they can really pull together the continuity a lot better, kind of rebooting everything from Gods and Monsters and really fleshing out the characters and allowing them to grow with us as we watch the movie. So I'm excited for that.
Now, I will say that I wish they would have chosen another title for the movie. Superman Legacy is fine, but Gods and Monsters, they already have an animated movie called Gods and Monsters, and it's alternative timelines. It's not even the same kind of superhero. Like Superman is General Zod, Batman is an actual vampire, Wonder Woman is a new god. I mean, it's just that's what I think about. But I digress. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just, it's their chapter, I guess. It's the category that they're putting everything under. So again, fleshing out gods, which Superman is considered a god to some, people with that, and then having whatever monsters and stuff they kind of want to roll into it. So I don't know what villains that we're going to see, kind of really going into.
Can I give the ones I personally want?
What do you think? What do you want to see?
Since this is technically an early Superman, I would love to see Brainiac, but not now. I would like to see a Brainiac because it's supposed to be a trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have Brainiac in like the second part of the second movie be known, like he could be mentioned, but let him start being known. Maybe show an appearance like Thanos did at the end of the Marvel movies. Have him be the big bad at the end of the trilogy because he is one of the biggest Superman villains. I would love to see him. I would also like to see an early version of Doomsday, but not on screen. I just want them to talk about him. He could also be, you need the Justice League to fight Doomsday and then have Superman give his life. But we've already seen that with Henry Cavill. It wasn't a good fight scene, but we could get a better version of that. Lex Luthor, we pretty much know he's going to be in the movie. You can't have Superman movie without Lex Luthor. It's not going to happen. It's either going to be a LexCorp or Mercy's going to be there. Somebody's going to be there to let you know Luthor is around. So with me throwing them out the way, my top picks for who I want in this Legacy movie: Bizarro. I think it'd be a great introduction. Mongol. Bring in War World. My number one guy, though, who I want to see, who has not been shown, Parasite. Give me a Parasite. It's just like Batman. Give me a Clayface. I get my Clayface. Give me a Parasite. You can build this character up with Parasite, and because this is they said it, let me try to remember the words. They were focusing on him balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. So that lets me know that something has happened to where now Superman is disconnected from the world. If you bring in Parasite, now he's starting to feed on people. Now Superman has to come back, and now they see him for the savior that he actually can be. I don't think it's going to be Parasite. I think Parasite might be too dark for a PG-13 movie. But that's who I want.
I mean, it just depends on how dark they want to go with it. We know James Gunn, when he's, kind of able to come off the leash, so to speak, and really let his creativity shine. We see a lot of mature rated stuff, and it gets fantastic.
But it's PG-13.
I know it's PG-13, and I think it's just because it's intro, but I want to know if they want to set it up to go darker throughout the series, or do they want to keep it? Because Superman is one of those wholesome characters for a lot of people. So with kids and they see Superman, you're gonna want the audience to watch Superman in its entirety. So you can't go too dark, and that's why I think where the Elseworlds stuff kind of comes in, that's where all the dark stuff is going to mainly happen. and then the main.
But people also forget that Superman, while yes, he was a Boy Scout, he didn't pull no punches. When he had to take somebody down, he took them down, and it was without mercy. He was almost as bad as Batman. Batman would kill you, but he put you in the hospital to make you wish you was dead. Superman was coming for a knockout. Perfect example. Justice League, the animated series, one of the greatest animated series out there. When Darkseid merged with Brainiac, and Superman gave that montage, said, "Oh, I've been feeling like I'm walking in the world of cardboard, but you can take it." And he swung on it. He was happy about this.
He got to let it loose.
I mean, he don't get a chance to let it loose. So, I mean, Mongol makes sense. Alien invasion comes down. I think it's going to be Brainiac. I just don't want Brainiac. But I honestly think it's going to be Brainiac.
All right, so, I mean, that kind of leads into the story arc and stuff and we got to take all the other characters into play. Again, with the way this story arc is going to go, we know that it's focused on Superman, his legacy, and kind of how he's going to be coming up through the world. How do you think the other characters are going to play a factor in this? How do you think they're going to be brought in to kind of support?
Well, I'm looking at it, and I'm honestly thinking this might actually be not a JLA, but maybe a JSA. This might be like the Black Adam, where you had the Hawkman and you had, Adam all as the JSA, because we already know that James Gunn has said the superheroes are established in this world, so they know they have superheroes. So if we think about the JSA, technically came second, but they were first once they retconned everything. You can actually make all of this because you got Hawkgirl, Guygardner, and mrterrific. They weren't JLA. Hawkgirl was, yes. Guygardner for a time, but that was also in the 90s where the JLA was not the premier team anymore. You had Dr. Light and Blue Beetle. Ted Kord was on that team, by the way. Ted Kord, the guy who had a beetle ship and a light gun. But so they weren't premier. So I would actually think about this being as a JSA trying to recruit Superman to help fight Mongol. I'm saying, go get the strongest guy on the planet to help you. And if he has a disconnect already, this might be the angle that you can use to be like, hey, we kind of need you. This is your home world. You have Lois in his ear talking about, yes, Clark, you have to do this. And then Guygardner come in being an asshole and get knocked out by Batman in a cameo. I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go.
It depends on how they want to proceed with it, because again, we still got Blue Beetle on the way. Blue Beetle's coming. And then Aquaman.
It's the third version of Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
That's what people need to realize. This is the third. Ted Kord was the second. I forget the first guy, but he wasn't that good anyway.
We got Aquaman 2 on his way. We don't know where Aquaman 2 sits in the timeline.
Right.
So
and this lineup makes me think of an early 90s run. It doesn't make me think of they're fighting in this time. It's like this is a past version of them, and then they're going to start coming forward. That's why I'm thinking it's a JSA version and not the JLA. But we'll see.
Do you think they could do with the Batman? You think that this Superman can cross with the Batman at some point in time?
Looking at their ages, yes. Because if we're looking at this at David as Supes, 29, maybe 28. Bruce is 27. They're about the same age in the books. I mean, what happens if one day Clark is flying somewhere to the Middle East and he looks down at Gotham and see Batman breaking somebody's shoulder on the rooftop? It feels like he needs to intervene. I mean, I know we've seen it in Batman vs. Superman, which was another horrible movie. But this could be done better. Robert Pattinson has already convinced me that he makes a great Batman.
Okay. All right. So where do you think that this movie is going to fall in the timeline as far as everything that's going on now? Do you think it's going to just start off brand new?
I think this is the first movie.
First movie is just going to be.
I think this will be It's not an origin story. They already said Superman's not having an origin story, and we know we don't need another origin story about Superman. Just like we don't need the pearls in the alley. We don't need that. I'm thinking this will be, even though Blue Beetle comes out first and Aquaman comes out, and all the other ones come out, and this is next year. I think this might be the start of the timeline.
Okay.
I mean, Blue Beetle, Jamie Reyes is not in this. Well, Jaime. I keep calling him Jamie. I'm sorry. So it's got to be before.
All right. I mean, it's going to be all pulled together at some point. We already know that Peacemaker is supposed to be, still, alive and well, doing whatever he's doing, and they were kind of setting up stuff at the end of Peacemaker, which is
where he could be in Peacemaker's timeline.
That's what I'm thinking.
Peacemaker was early,
because and Peacemaker already, commented on, Batman and everything else. So it was like, yeah, you could bring these characters, into like this could be the timeline where they really solidify everything, and Peacemaker could actually be part of it to a degree. So because he came to get recruited along with Shazam.
Yep.
So if we still keep Shazam in play along with Peacemaker, and then add the rest of these guys in here, we can get that, and we can really have fun with it.
You would have a JSA, because remember where Shazam was being recruited to.
That's what they were recruiting to. So this makes sense to set up for the JSA, and then you can literally have a big team battle versus team battle. Who could the JSA go against that would really,
I mean, first of all, it don't matter because they don't have a speedster, and if they bring a Flash into this with the JLA, the JSA goes down. They don't have a speedster.
So again, this is where we're looking at with Ezra Miller's Flash. It's like, is he going to continue to be the Flash?
No.
Is this going to be like an Elseworlds type thing where the timeline has been reset and now things are moving differently? What effect did the Flash have on the rest of the universe, if any at all, or was it still a standard? This is kind of questions that I'm curious about. But again, until we get more movies play out and then it gives us more information, we're just kind of in a lull right now. We're just kind of sitting.
It's all speculation right now. James Gunn has been known not to let his stuff leak. We don't know what's going on. We just know it's early age Superman. We just Cub Reporter Superman. Yeah. That's all we know.
So that's all we got for this one. You got anything else you want to add to it?
No.
No. So by all means, look, we want to hear everybody's theories, comments, and stuff. Hey, by all means, go down there. Make sure you've already hit that subscribe button. Let us know what it is that you think is going to happen. How you think it's going to play out? What characters you think are going to be introduced? Whether it be more villains, more heroes introduced, so that how they would set up, JLA, JSA, or any other things that are going to be coming into play.
And make sure you all know Iron Man sucks. I put that in there just because you cut him out every time I put it at the end. So now it's in the middle, so you can't cut nothing. Ha!
And we'll deal with it. So again,
Iron Man sucks.
Check us out the next show.